Hello, and welcome to the PHNX Suns Show, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, where if you place $5 bet on any NFL game and your team wins, you get $200 in free bets. Take it away, Espo.
I'm Saul Bookman. He's Espo. Oh, wait, I got that wrong.
I said Greg Espo.
For those of you expecting Lindsey Smith to be sitting here, we're sorry to disappoint you. She's on vacation, but it is Saul Bookman to my left. I'm Greg Esposito, or Espo, as everybody seems to know me. Ahoy, hoy. Glad to have you along with us. It's Suns versus Kings. Get excited, everybody, on a Wednesday night in downtown Phoenix, and we're getting you ready for the game here. Look, it's always a tough game to get up for when it's Sacramento, when your team like the Phoenix Suns, but the Suns need this game. At 1-2, falling to 1-3 would be borderline disastrous. Now, it's not the end of your season, obviously, in an 82-game run, but coming off the finals, falling in a 1-3 hole is going to be a problem.
Yeah, again, it's all about the team at this point. It's not really about the opposition, especially on a night like this, although the Kings have been playing fairly well this season. You just want to see improvement. You just want to see a little bit of chemistry from 1 through 10. Yeah. You want to see everybody perform at the level that we expect them to perform at. They've had 3 days off now. There's no excuses about back-to-backs and, tired legs and all this other stuff. No, you got to come. You got to ball. You got to take care of Sacramento because they could beat you if you don't come ready to play. But this is a winnable game, and I expect the Suns to win this game.
The excuse after will be too rested now. After 3 days
rusty.
off.
We had too much time off.
Jamal Murray was injured. No, look, this is a game where you should be able to come out. You're on your home court. You are rested, which means you got some time to prep specifically for this game. Unlike, in the first 3 and 4 nights, you're not getting practice time in there. You're just going out and trying to do what you've worked on in training camp. So they should come out focused, locked in with a game plan specifically for the Kings tonight. Matchup of the game tonight has to be, at least for me, De'Aaron Fox, Chris Paul. Obviously, point guard play when you've got a guy like CP3 is always going to be imperative. Here on the screen right now, you can see those 2020-21 stats for both Paul and Fox. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox is a much more prolific scorer than you're going to get out of Chris Paul. But when it comes to rebounding and assists, Chris Paul is just better than Fox and in his young stage of his career. But I really feel like this is where the game's going to hinge tonight.
Well, I mean, I don't know about hinge because I think Harrison Barnes is going to have a lot to say about that. He's also been playing at an insanely high clip compared to his career stats, which is stupid. But yes, this is the premier matchup on the court between these two guys. De'Aaron's super quick. He's fast. He likes to get his own buckets. Chris Paul's more of a facilitator and can drop a bucket on you at any moment too. So it should be a fun game to watch. It should be a fun matchup to watch.
Well, and Chris Paul, the Suns need Chris Paul to be Chris Paul offensively. They need those mid-range shots to fall. They need him to take over in those moments where things slow down. He's yet to do that this year. We haven't really seen that, and I'm hoping this is the breakout game. It feels like a game set up for him to come out and do some damage. And De'Aaron Fox on the defensive end will be a tough matchup for him.
I don't know what to think about Chris Paul right now. Everybody, we saw what Chris Paul did last year, and everybody got excited, rightfully so. I'm not saying that he's over the hill or anything like that, but what I am saying is I can't tell when Chris is pacing himself versus playing poorly.
I agree, because you sit there and you go, hey, he didn't do much in the first quarter, but that second or third quarter is when he's just going to flip the switch.
Yeah, and or even in the fourth quarter. You know? And I remember before Chris Paul even played a minute for the Suns, people talking like Corey Williams used to talk about, he'll put you to sleep for 3 hours or for the first 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden, in the fourth quarter, boom, there goes the energy. This is when he starts to take over the game, and then he closes you out because he is one of the better closers in the game. So when I watch Chris Paul, I'm like, okay, is this, he's pacing himself and then the game just got away from him? Or are we seeing some trends that we don't like? it's a little too early to tell right now. So in terms of managing the game and mirroring what you did last year, to your point, yes, that's exactly what I'd like to see tonight.
Yeah, I mean this team offensively has not shown what we came to expect last season, and it's not just Chris Paul, it's Devin Booker, it's across the board. They've lacked consistency offensively. We saw about 2.5 quarters in that Lakers game where they played peak Suns basketball, and other than that, we've yet to really see it this season. Maybe a little bit in the first half against Denver as well. So you hope in a night against a team like the Kings, who's had some struggles defensively in their first 3 games, that you might be able to figure it out. But you're right. Harrison Barnes is playing out of his damn mind. Yeah. The guy is averaging over 28 points, shooting more than 50% from the field and almost 56% from 3. Yeah. It's insane. We'll talk to Brendan Nunes of the Kings Herald later on in the program to give you kind of the Kings perspective and if that's fool's gold with Harrison Barnes. But that is a guy that you're going to have to look out for tonight. And I think it's kind of it'll be interesting to see how they pair up defensively. Where are you putting Mikal Bridges? Is it on Harrison Barnes? Are you putting him on De'Aaron Fox to try to counteract that quickness? Where are you putting your defensive stopper on this Kings roster, and how do you have to move him around?
I mean, honestly, you're probably putting Mikal on De'Aaron Fox just because he's the quicker of the two. And you're taking a gamble on Harrison Barnes. You know, I would make Harrison Barnes beat you. I would. I know he's playing insanely well. I would make Harrison Barnes beat you as opposed to like De'Aaron Fox, because what De'Aaron Fox can do is if he gets rolling, he will get everybody else involved. Harrison Barnes rolling is just Harrison Barnes. So I'd rather kill that bird than the Harrison Barnes one. Also, probably getting a glimpse of future son Marvin Bagley in tonight's game.
Maybe just a glimpse, though. They're not playing him a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly the reason why. Hey, forget that young. You save yourself a couple ducats and go get Marvin Bagley. How about that?
I would have no complaints about bringing Marvin Bagley back to the Valley for sure.
Also, we got a cool little QR code up there on the screen. So, take a screenshot of that or pull up your
phone.
Pull
the camera up, hit the link, check out everything we have to offer here at PHNX. You can see how to subscribe. You can figure out how to follow us on social. Anything and everything you need about our site, you can get with that beautiful, sweet QR code there in the lower left corner of your screen. Let's shift to more of a Suns specific focus, as there is a new member to the Suns, a guy that most of us don't know much about because, well, there's a reason. He's a end of the bench kind of guy, but we wanted to give you a chance to get to know a little bit about Ish Wainwright. He spoke to the media yesterday, and here's what he had to say.
Perfect in a way. I mean, in my eyes, looking on the outside, looking in, the past couple of years watching these guys play, this is where a lot of people want to be. And like I said, I'm blessed to be here. I mean, it's a team, the coaches, the front office, and also the players, the captains on the team, watching them, how they work together. And I want to say it's a player-led team because of the guys that they have. Coach Williams has a lot of trust in, the guys. So can't go wrong with that at all. I do. I was foaming at the mouth the past couple of games because I'm like, man, these dudes, pass the ball, they share the ball well, defensive-wise, they carry themselves as pros. They're pros. So that's how they carry themselves. And, I mean, it's the best thing that you could possibly be a part of,
This man's shoulders, he could play in that Cardinals-Packers game tomorrow night. He looks like he's built like a linebacker.
Yeah, he also looks like what's that? The V for Vendetta. He's kind of got that. He's kind of got that shaped face that kind of looks like V from Vendetta. So
we also have Monty Williams, who spoke about Ish Wainwright yesterday after practice. Here's what Monty had to say about the newest member of the Phoenix Suns.
I mean,
he did play football, so
I know. I heard a couple of one of his football stories, but he's just a man. You can tell, he's a guy that can absorb contact. I don't know a ton about him, but he picks stuff up quickly, and he's a worker. We've seen that already with him. He looks like a potential guy that could, fit into that 3-and-D role. be able to guard, and then, if he can get a really good, consistent standstill shot, it doesn't necessarily have to be a three, but that's where the league is now. He has the makeup for that position.
I love how honest Monty is. He's like, I don't really know much about this guy, and I feel the same way. But if you and Monty want to learn more about Ish Wainwright, you can head to gophnx.com, as Gerald Bourguet, who will join us later on in the post-game show, wrote a very in-depth piece about him. Gerald amazes me with the research he's able to do about guys that most people know very little about and have very little time to find out about.
Yeah, I don't even understand how Gerald does it. Ish Wainwright is just another dude to me, so I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. But hey, people love the end of the bench players. It's always the flavor of the month.
Mm-hmm.
That's I swear, like every game we hear about Jalen Smith or Frank Kaminsky or like people that never play that people always want to see play for whatever reason. Ish Wainwright, hopefully he's this year's Torrey Craig or something to that effect. Somebody that could come off the bench and provide a burst when they need it the most. That's what Torrey did last year. They kind of missed that this year. They need somebody that can do that, especially with campaign being out. So maybe Ish can be that dude.
Ish Wainwright looks like he could at least give you 6 good fouls if necessary with that size. Fun fact, the Suns are the first franchise in NBA history to have ever had 2 Ishes on their all-time
Playing
roster.
it fast and loose with that word fun there.
Ish, it is some ish. All right, that is what it is. We're going to turn to, as I mentioned, we spoke with Brendan Nunes of the Kings Herald a little bit earlier today to give you a preview from the Kings' perspective of things. So excited to welcome in a Kings expert for this PHNX Suns pregame show. We're talking with Brendan Nunes of the Kings Herald. He writes over there. Brendan, thanks for taking a few minutes with us.
Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it, guys. Excited for the matchup tonight.
Yeah, I want to just hop right in with Harrison Barnes. From an outsider's perspective, it seems pretty darn crazy what he's doing right now, averaging 28 points a game, shooting 50% from the field and almost 56% from three. Are you guys that surprised in Sacramento about what's going on with Harrison right now?
I mean, I think to the extent that it has been, it's definitely surprising, but there is a notable difference that I think Barnes' numbers are just going to be increased this year. You know, Luke Walton has talked about he wants Harrison Barnes shooting 8 threes a game this year. Last year it was 4.4 on average. So out of the 3 games that have been played this year, 2 of them Barnes has already surpassed his season high last year in field goal attempts and 3-point attempts. So there's an aspect where Barnes is just getting up a lot more shots. It's still within the flow of the offense, but when he sees a little bit of space, he's got a really quick trigger. Those numbers will obviously come back down. Like game 1 against Portland was a career high for Barnes. He's not going to go 6 for 6 in a quarter from downtown again. I wouldn't think so. But he's a really efficient player and is kind of doing things within the flow of the offense. So I think there's going to be a notable jump this season for sure compared to years past, due to just more attempts that he's getting up. But yeah, I mean, definitely going to notably come back down from where he's been.
Yeah, I'm guessing if he goes 6 for 6 in a quarter, that 8 attempts will balloon to 10 or 12 based on Coach Walton's desire to see him shoot, right?
I would think so, yeah. And that one he ended up getting up a good handful, yeah.
When you look at the Kings sitting at 1 and 2 like the Suns right now, have you been, obviously win-loss wise you're disappointed, but on the court, have you been disappointed with what you've seen, or are there positives that make you go, this could be the year that's different in Sacramento?
I think there are positives. You have to take into account, like, this was the worst defense in the league last year. It was the second worst defensive rating of all time, and that was a clear emphasis. And I think with Davian Mitchell and an improved center depth compared to last year, we've seen a lot of progress there. It's hard to notice just when looking at the numbers. I think they were sitting at 23rd before I checked after yesterday's slate of games in defensive rating, which doesn't sound amazing, but you have to take into account they played Portland, Utah, and Golden State, 3 of the best offenses in the league, and were competitive in all of those games. You know, they did admittedly almost blow an 18-point lead in Portland, but they came away with the win in that one. Utah, one of, if not the best regular season team in the league within the last couple of years, they played toe-to-toe really well. and had a chance to win against Golden State. So I think there's a lot of notable progress, especially on the defensive end and rebounding, where they were the worst team in the league last year. But there's some growing pains, I think, figuring out of all these guards on this lineup, and Fox and Halliburton specifically seem to be kind of trying to figure out where they fit, when in my mind, it's like they need to assert themselves and the other guys fit around them. So I think just a little bit of growing pains with a new roster that they're working with, but seems like there is improvement. The question is just, is that enough improvement to notably jump you up in the standings, which it still seems too early to call that one.
How has the Halliburton-Fox backcourt been playing out? Has it been Halliburton handling the ball with Fox kind of playing off ball, or has it kind of been a mix of both of them kind of handling the ball?
Yeah, they kind of seem to take turns, and I think figuring that out is something that's going to be important this year. Only about half the minutes played of Halliburton last year came alongside Fox, and I think we're going to see a lot more of those this year. They do stagger the two often, so more often than not, you'll end up with only one of them on the floor, and whoever is out there will be the one initiating. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of streaky. It seems like kind of whoever is going in that moment is going to be the one that's initiating the offense more often. It's probably Fox, but Halliburton has his stretches of doing that. We saw that in the late third, early fourth of their last game against Golden State. So yeah, I think they just kind of take turns, and I think figuring out the right moments for each one is something that they're still getting used to this year.
You brought up Davian Mitchell off night, as they like to call him, a little bit earlier. He's drawn the tough defensive assignments against Golden State, Portland. Do you expect that to continue again tonight with him playing at times against Devin Booker and CP3?
Absolutely. I think that Davion is the best matchup for both of those guys. I think if Halliburton ends up on either one of them, that he's probably going to get attacked, and that would lead to some pretty good results for Phoenix there. So I think, yeah, Davion's going to have a big assignment tonight guarding both of those guys. I know that he's talked about Chris Paul as a big mentor to him, someone he talks to a lot and really looks up to. And yeah, he's had a tough slate of guards that he's gone up against to start his NBA career. Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Donovan Mitchell, Steph Curry, and now he gets Booker and CP3. So yeah, I mean, I think that he's going to play, 30 minutes tonight and really be the primary one tasked with slowing down whichever one of those guys seems to be in a rhythm. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's even closing the game over someone else later tonight.
Over the first three games, how impressed have you been with his defense? Has he come as advertised?
Yes, I would say even more so. I mean, I was definitely somebody that thought albeit older, but still rookie coming into the league, 6'1", if even, just wasn't going to have that much of a defensive impact from day one. I feel like usually it takes a little bit of time getting accustomed to the league. But his isolation defense, I mean, Fox and Buddy are sitting here talking about how he's already one of the best on-ball defenders in the league, which sounds like they're kind of just talking up their guy. But these last three games, you've kind of seen that backed up against the elite competition that I laid out before. So we knew there was going to be a defensive impact at some point from Davion Mitchell, but I certainly didn't expect this level from the very beginning of his NBA career. And yeah, I mean, already holds up to what seems like one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. It gets a little complicated when he's moving through screens, and I think he still has a lot of work to do off-ball. But on-ball defense is phenomenal, and we got a flash of some offensive potential as well in that Golden State game.
So looking at tonight, what do you feel from a Kings perspective is the matchup of the evening that will kind of determine how things turn out?
I think it has to be Fox just asserting himself in this game. He's gotten a lot of crap over the last three, as I thought one of the Kings Hero guys worded it really well, that if Fox was himself over this beginning stretch of games, that the Kings have a good chance of going 3-0. So I'll say Chris Paul and De'Aaron Fox. I think that off-ball rotations are the main issue for Sacramento last year, and those are cleaned up a lot, but Phoenix is a team that's really going to test you on that end as someone who moves the ball around really well. So as long as Chris Paul can't pick apart some poor rotations on the back end, and De'Aaron Fox really asserts himself on offense and really goes and takes over a game and doesn't get too caught up with foul drawing that they are being a little bit more hesitant to call at times this season, I think that'll be the main matchup. And I only stayed away from throwing Davion in there just because he's not starting. But Davion guarding those two guys is going to be something I'm watching closely too.
Let's put you on the spot here. You're in the hot seat. 0% to 100%. How confident are you the Kings can come into Phoenix and get a win?
Oh man, well, it's got to be low. It's a pretty poor matchup, and if you want to just talk talent levels and all that, but I think I feel a little bit better realizing that Phoenix has gone off to a slow start on the defensive end, and if the Kings are going to win this game, it's going to be an offensive battle, and that's definitely a way that they're able to grind out wins. So, I still don't feel great. I'll throw it about 20% here.
Oh, all right. Well, we like that. We'll feel 80% confident here on this side. He is Brendan Nunes of the Kings Herald. Thanks so much for taking some time. Love what you guys are doing over there on the site. Keep it up. A special thanks also to Katie Christensen Hunter, who is the color analyst for the Kings. She did an interview with me earlier today as well, but the connection was too poor for us to show you guys that one. So next time the Suns and Kings play, we'll have Katie on as well. But Brendan says he's 20% confident that the Kings could pull off the upset tonight. And the line of the night from our friends over at DraftKings seems to agree with him. They have the Suns as a -8 favorite right now. And I don't know that I feel that confident. Do you think they're an 8-point favorite against the Kings here?
Yeah. I mean, why not? Again, it's the Kings. Like, until proven otherwise, the Suns should be the favorite. They're the defending Western Conference champions. They've been a little bit off to begin the season. No big deal. They'll figure it out and they'll be fine. So, honestly, the one thing that I would love to see tonight, I would love to see DA pull his head out of his ass and start playing some real ball.
Well, he's got to play former teammate Rashawn Holmes tonight in that starting lineup for the Kings.
Everybody loves for whatever reason.
Because it's the same thing. Everybody loves the backup quarterback in football. Here in Phoenix, they love the guy that used to play backup center. It always happens like that. Rashawn Holmes is a nice enough player.
He was a good player on a 19-win team, so you take that for what it's worth.
DeAndre Ayton's going to have to bring his motor, though, tonight, because if Rashawn Holmes has one thing, it's energy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, again, if DA doesn't bring it and Rashawn Holmes eats his lunch, then so be it. Like, you finish him. Like, if for real, DA, like, let's go. Like, I'm kind of, we went through this whole offseason and all the way up into the season talking about his max contract, and people were debating back and forth. And based on his playoff performance, I thought for sure he should earn the max. These first 3 games, outside of the first half of game 1, he hadn't done shit. So, yeah, big man's got to step it up.
Yeah, prove that you're worth the max. I mean, that's what everybody said, that this is a put up or shut up moment. And right now he's proven the Suns correct and not wanting to pay him the max. So he's going to have to step up tonight. The Suns need a lot of guys to wake up, though. Chris Paul, as we talked about, Devin Booker has to come back into form. You need a Mikal Bridges that's consistent offensively, which you've yet to see as well. One injury to report before we get out of here tonight and let you guys watch the game. It is Cam Payne. He is still out. Sounds like he'll be out for another 5 days or so before they reevaluate him. So no Cam Payne tonight. Elfrid Payton will be the backup point guard yet again. A pretty good night on Saturday, but hopefully he can come out and have an impact the way Cam Payne does on that second unit. I expect that Cam Johnson will have to step up more offensively with that second unit as well.
Everybody has to step up. Everybody. There hasn't been one unit that's been fantastic, either starters or the bench. Everybody has to play better, and I expect that to start tonight.
He is Saul Bookman. You can follow him on Twitter at Saul_Bookman. The underscore is there to fit that 8-point spread that the Suns have to cover tonight. You can follow me at Espo. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. We'll be tweeting there all night, as well as being in the Discord, interacting with you, and we will see you here live right after the game as we break down everything that happens in Suns versus Kings. Ahoy hoy.